Hello, I'm Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and welcome to my vlog, where it's my mission and simultaneous pleasure to highlight my creative journey in hopes that you are inspired as well as gain some takeaways, all to make your creative journey just a little bit easier. Now, before I fully get into things, I would like to take the opportunity to invite you to subscribe if you haven't already. That way you get all the various episodes and lessons that I put out right when I put them out. Thank you if you just did, and thank you if you already were. It truly means a lot to me, as I hope it does to you. So, the theme of these past couple of vlogs has been the idea that I'm approaching the finish line. And last week I sort of talked about that whenever you approach the end of a creative project, it's just a few final things on the checklist, and even though they're minor, the devil is in the details, and those are the things that take the longest, right? And so that's a continuation in terms of last week, right? So specifically, I'm working on a proof of concept short film, a pitch deck, a script, all for this movie. These are working in tandem, and so we're very close with all of it. And when I say we, I mean me and my team. And we're making adjustments and things of that nature to get it to be just right? If something's a little bit off, it's not going to come off in the way that it's intended, right? And it's just a minor adjustment here and there, right? And so that's kind of what I've been working on, more specifically as far as anything. I've been doing some animation tests, right? So the intent of what I've been creating in terms of the movie and what it's supposed to look like, it's supposed to be rotoscope animated. So if you've ever seen like Amazon's Undone TV series or Scanner Darkly, a movie, those are good examples of that. And it's basically shot in live action and then animated over. And if you've watched every single one of my vlogs, you've heard me talk about I'm kind of doing that via my own version. I've created a technique. I didn't necessarily create it. I took other people's techniques that they've used and combined them and altered them in a way that is a little bit new in terms of this process. And so, so we shot something in live action, and as things are being completed, we already had the animation test from earlier, but now, I was curious to take what we had and start, now that like the visual effects are in for the most part and so forth, kind of really seeing it in this form. And for the most part, it looks good. And through that, my friend Jonathan Moulton and I, who, he's been helping me with all this, the visual effects and so forth, he had this idea, what if we tried this? And, this kind of slightly altered technique. And so we did that, and that looked good. But we're like, well, I like this part of this animation. I like this part of that animation. And so we thought, okay, well, why don't we combine the two together in After Effects and create a blend mode that's specific to this, that'll work and enhance it, and see how that looks. And so we did that. And so now we essentially do one pass in one animation style, another pass in another animation style, combine the two in After Effects, and create this really cool animation style. So that was a lot of what I was doing in that sense. As far as everything else, it's more of micromanaging and really providing notes. So for the visual effects, I did a whole checklist, spreadsheet of like, okay, this is good to go. This, boom, done. Here's, this shot. Here's a minor tweak and so forth. Pitch deck, same thing. As far as script is concerned, being the full feature script for this film, that's being worked on by my friend John Comerford. He's giving it a polish. This Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to have a meeting. He's going to ask me some further questions. So he can get points of clarity. Biggest thing with him is to get inside my mind So that way, any revision he does, he wants to make sure stays true to what the intent of the scene was. And, we've had many meetings where he's always asking me questions of like, why this, why that, or, what's going on here, summarize it in your own way. And that's beneficial because the more he knows, the more he can kind of make a true and powerful revision. So that's been, the main thing of what I've been working on. The other thing is really, I'm trying to focus more and more on revisions for my nonfiction book. There's a self-imposed deadline. I really, by the end of this month, want to just be done with. A lot of things are supposed to get done at the end of the month, right? So, all this stuff that I've been talking about with the film, as well as a revision on a nonfiction book. So I've got 8 more chapters of that to go through, which might sound like a lot, might sound like not a lot, but, I don't know. For some reason, I've been kind of moving slow with it, doing about 3 chapters a week. And so finally, I just want to kind of really put pen to paper and just knock out these 8 chapters relatively quick before the end of the month, so I can have this off my plate. So if anything, the takeaway is I'm just kind of committing to certain things. Next week and the week after that, I might slow down on posting the lessons and episodes that I do, just so I can really focus on that. As much as I love doing these videos, sometimes, at the end of the day, my mission is to be creative and get things done. And so sometimes I have to take a step back from certain things in order to get them done, right? And then I'll be back, again. But I think this week will be probably the last full week that I do for a few weeks, in terms of everything that I've got going on, because I want to focus on those. And just, I think in general, there's just been a lot of, it's one of those things, people cite this a lot. You're always just kind of waiting for stuff. And other times, like, all of a sudden everything hits at the same time. There's never like a steady stream of like just work. It's always, sometimes, like I said, just really waiting and being like, okay, I'm kind of bored type of thing. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're overwhelmed. And, that seems to, right now, there's a lot of things that are kind of happening in good ways, right? No complaints, but nonetheless, it's all like all at once. And so, that's why, like, at times we have to select, what is the priority in this particular instance. For me last week, part of what had to be a priority was the Grammys. I was doing stuff for them and helping them out. I was involved in the show yesterday, which was fun. I can't get into details about that, but yeah, other than the fact that it was a lot of fun. It was work, but it was fun work, and it felt good to be part of the show. It felt good to see the show come to fruition and see everyone's hard work on TV and online and so forth. So, because I know various people that actually worked on it. My friend Alina Vision hosted the preview show for the Grammys itself. So I thought she did a fantastic job, although I didn't get to watch her as much as I would have preferred, because obviously I was doing stuff that I needed to do, right? But nonetheless, very happy for her, very happy for all those involved, including my friends. So this was the second year in a row where I was involved with the show specifically, and yeah, it was cool. The other kind of, this is just kind of separate, but I figured I'd talk about it. I think it's always interesting. Basically, it was hailing in LA, which I've never seen before. And, I'm not someone who minds the rain and things like that. But for me, with a dog and having to walk the dog multiple times a day, it can get cumbersome a little bit, because every time we go out, I have to dry her off. I have to clean up here and so forth, and I have, stuff's just constantly drenched and so forth. So you end up with a lot of like wet towels everywhere and, drying them off. So, that was just kind of like an added thing on top of everything else, and, all doable. You got to just kind of just take everything in stride, right? It's not like the world is ever working against you. Ultimately, it's just, that's why I talk about mental fortitude. That's why I'm a big advocate of mastering mental fortitude, because, you're going to have the talent and the skill, but if you don't really, kind of really grapple a mind shift that none of this is happening against you, it's just kind of part of life, and the more you can kind of accept that, the easier things become. And so certainly, having hail and constant, like, it's not just like that it was hailing and raining. It literally went from one day it was like 80 degrees and beautiful and sunny to then like, hail and so forth. So just and not knowing, like, do I need to wear a jacket today? Can I wear shorts today? This and that. Like, it's just this almost, very flip-flop type of weather we've been having. And so, it kind of messes with you, but yeah, it is what it is. And obviously people in all parts of the world have faced weather switches and stuff like that. But nonetheless, I've never seen hail in LA, so that was a new experience. Anyway, that's kind of what I've been up to. I mean, sure, can I expand upon some of this stuff? But, I've kind of talked about it. And so what I'm looking most forward to is being able to share the final product. So early April, probably on a Saturday. I don't want to say a specific date quite yet until I know everything is fully polished with the proof of concept short film, but I'll have a virtual premiere party for that, and so I will be announcing that hopefully very soon, sooner rather than later, but it's nonetheless, I want to make sure that we hit deadlines and things like that. But yeah, we're close. Today I got back more visual effects, and so minor tweaks for that. I got new music in for that from my friend Cody Schramm, so minor alterations for that. Really just a timing thing more than anything, because I with the visual effects, I ended up retiming 4 shots, so that affects his music composition. Now that more visual effects are in, I can start to finalize sound, because the sound guy, Edgar, really needed to see certain shots to be able to time things. Now it's in there, so we're good. The pitch deck, I gave my final 2 notes today. So yeah, the finish line is like centimeters away, if we're going to be metaphorical about it. So really excited to share that with you. Anyway, in spite of a short episode, in spite of not many details, I hope you got something out of this. As always, you are welcome to ask questions, whether it's about any of the stuff that I'm doing or things that you're doing, right? It doesn't have to be any of the stuff that I talked about. Happy to converse with you, happy to help however I can. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you next time.